For part two of the PLN series of posts that I have to put up and am long overdue in submitting. Let's take a look at this. If you haven't selected the spacer tool you'd like to use for your PLN, explore a minimum of 3, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so I'm a true believer in PLN, so of course, I've got a portfolio website, I've got Twitters, I've got Facebooks, I do a number of things. What I will say though, and this is just a little tangent here, um, people in China are more challenged to use PLNs than others because like there's not consistent access to a lot of the tools that are involved in a PLN. So I do tend to drop off a bit. No Google, no Twitter, no Facebook. So I do tend to drop off a bit when I'm in China. But whenever I'm out of China, I go, full hog. Full hog, is that a thing? And I get, I keep my PLN very current, and I also keep it robust. But in terms of trying, let me tell you a little bit about how I try to explain to people how they can conceptualize or maintain a PLN. I say that basically there are two kinds of PLNs. And notice this, I told you that some of these things didn't age well, like an iGoogle page. Um, I find for some students, younger students especially, they want a portfolio anchor. And some teachers, if they're kind of still tech wary, I don't think any teacher is incapable of using tech. They're wary for a number of reasons. They just don't trust it, or they think it's going to be harder than it is. They just need convincing in practice. But an anchored PLN is built around a hub. So if you have a blog or a site, something like that, and then somebody helps you put in a feed or a couple of feeds or something like that, or it's easier for beginners, I have found, to go to their hub, and then from their hub have a number of links and gadgets and widgets and things like that to then go off into the Twitterverse or the whatever there is to find their PLN. As opposed to most of us who have unanchored PLNs, and we don't need a kind of middle site or a middleman, middlewoman. We just go directly to Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever it is. Scoop It, Paperly. Paperly's still out there. I don't think Scoop It is still current, but there are other things. And obviously, I need to update these. I haven't. One of the reasons I haven't updated these is what I just said. I'm currently teaching in China. There's not a lot of interest currently at my school. PLNs are very, very, very low priority, and the fact that there are complications. We all use WeChat in China for local connections, and the local networks within China and Beijing and other cities are quite strong, but the international global networks are not. But anyway, I think this is a good way to conceptualize it if you have trouble with your teachers or if they seem a little bit hesitant to do these things like, oh, there's so many things, the Twitters and the Instagrams and the Facebooks you can fool them a little bit and say, here, let's take a look at your anchor site and create a little bit of a website for them that helps them get up and running. So, and when we talk to them about the various sites that they want to use, it's just really about these kinds of things. They need to be able to share content, organize content, generate content, and communicate in terms of the tools that they pick. I definitely think that Twitter 101, and I will talk about languages later, but this is something that's essential. You got to get them on Twitter. And so that's why there's so much here about Twitter. But also, when I was at the International School of Curitiba, we moved in stages across a year, right? So introductions like this presentation, then Twitter and TweetDeck are tools that I find to be essential in using Twitter, Buffer a little bit so. And then we had a PLN challenge. We sent people out to do independent work with their PLNs for a few months. And then we did some individualized checks, and we had a celebration, a Twitter celebration all the way at the end of the year. Or I'm sorry, not a Twitter celebration, although Twitter was heavily focused. But we had a PLN celebration to compare everybody's PLNs. So again, getting started with Twitter, we gave them some guidelines, and pretty much what I just told you guys. And then we had some basic Twitter tools that we wanted everybody to use. Twitter basics. We wanted everybody to go to the languages blog. I still strongly recommend this. I believe she is still active, and and etc. Get TweetDeck. If you don't have TweetDeck, definitely get TweetDeck, and then Buffer, and etc. But this is not really the topic of today. I just thought I'd share a little bit. With students, though, we kind of sprang from this, and notice how we're trying to keep the presentations parallel. We don't think that there needs to be much difference for teaching teachers about PLNs and teaching students about PLNs. And by the way, I keep saying we. We was my partner at the International School of Curitiba, Joyce Lorenzo Pereira, and me. We did a lot of the development of these ideas ourselves. And Joyce is great, and I'll put her Twitter somewhere for everybody. But again, we went over how to pick certain things. Again, this is a nice little concept for like how to think about. Remember Flickr? How to think about what a PLN does, smart people, stuff like that goes between, and then you. Some still, most of these are still in effect. Okay, that's pretty good. And then we told students these are your first steps. So how do you build it? So we had all the students create an anchor, which was their portfolio website, and then here you go. What are your academic interests? Start thinking about that. Then we want you to demonstrate your academic interests into a website. And we gave them our own websites, although mine has been updated since then, to explore. So Julia was my student teacher. There's Mr. T, Mr. Tilly, me, and then Mrs. Pereira. I don't know where her link went, but like I said, it's a little bit dated. And then what do you need? You need tools for organization, gathering, collaborating, processing, and sharing. And so we went through what were some of the better tools at that time. This was their template for their academic portfolio, which, we decided to go with Google Sites and Blogger, and they blogged. And then here we went, gathering tools at the time, collaboration tools at the time, process and sharing tools at the time. A lot of these are still, current, right? And we always kind of caution them with advice, like there are so many different tools. Be careful not to get overwhelmed. We're not looking for more is definitely not better. Quality is better than quantity. So these are some things. I'm going to post these what are these called? Presentations. These PowerPoints for your use. You can, most of the images I've borrowed from other people, and I've cited them, but I guess, just as a part of a PLN, you can steal them and then cite them yourselves if you think that they are useful. Thank you. This has been part 2, PLNs, building your PLN. Oh.